Funding for the production of this individual education program was provided by the Seymour E. Klonick Estate of Chicago, Illinois, through the efforts of Sidney M. Roth. "20 years ago, an internationally acclaimed educator and psychologist from Hawaii saw the decline in education approaching. Dr. Raymond Corsini developed individual education, a system of education that is spreading rapidly throughout the world and which promises a rewarding future for our children. What you are about to see is an exciting and innovative system of education which has proven itself in several countries, including the United States and Canada, for the past 12 years.
No, how about 55?
No. One China.
0. No, we don't need them. What? What did it say? How many advertising signs?
Imagine, if you will, a school that guides its students into proper social behavior based upon respect of self and respect of others.
I know.
Imagine a school that cultivates creativity and self-expression and develops communication skills and self-confidence in each student to promote healthy social interaction.
And I'm Snell.
Oh, thanks, pal.
A school that actually inspires students to advance academically at their own individual level of understanding, even faster than they would in traditional schools. Such a dream for our children may seem remote in light of some present-day school systems, but the individual education school system has already made this dream a reality for thousands of students. The traditional school system has not changed to any significant degree for about 100 years, even though the demands of society have. The traditional school curriculum still centers around the all-too-familiar 3 R's: reading, writing, and arithmetic. Certainly those 3 R's are still important today, but hardly enough by themselves to give young adults competitive foothold in today's society. Social skills and creative resourcefulness are a must, in addition to the 3 R's. Individual education bases its curriculum on 4 R's, the 4 most important components of personal character: responsibility, respect, resourcefulness, and responsiveness. The 4th R is the most important R that anyone can deserve, and it really depends on having the other 3. It is called responsiveness. This means responding to the needs of others, being interested in others, and contributing to the social good. It is our intention to develop not only capable and well-educated people, but most importantly, to develop good people who care for others. The teaching of these essential 4 R's is accomplished within 3 fundamental programs: socialization, creative, and academic. Students attend classes for approximately 2 hours in each program every school day. In each of the programs, students absorb more information than they would in traditional schools because each program rests on natural, psychological principles. For instance, the socialization program is based on the premise that effective social interaction for students can be accomplished by teaching communication skills, and a sense of responsibility for self and others can be cultivated without excessive use of discipline and punishment. The creative program recognizes that children are naturally creative, and when encouraged to develop their creativity and individual interests, gain confidence in themselves, and they're able to demonstrate a full self-expression. The academic program of IE, where the 3 R's are still taught, demonstrates the fundamental principle that children are naturally eager to learn. Each student is allowed to individualize their own education and learn more information in less time.
The really interesting things to me about the IE school is that it doesn't necessarily represent new things in education, but it represents a new way of packaging it so that it all works together. And very often you might find a school that does, quote, creative courses, but they don't have the system and they don't have the structure, the process that supports it. And so they do maybe one thing as a fragment, as a piece, and it doesn't seem to work. And one of the advantages, I think, to this structure is that all the various components all hang together and work together.
By cultivating students' sense of responsibility, respect, resourcefulness, and responsiveness throughout the socialization, creative, and academic programs, individual education achieves its goal to prepare students for life. Let's take a closer look at exactly how each program encourages students to develop to their maximum potential. Equipping students with communication skills and responsible decision-making techniques will increase their effective social interaction throughout all of their lives. The goal of the socialization program really prepares students for life. It does not merely teach them to cope with life, but it enables them to develop a healthy self-concept, a sense of self-respect so they can participate fully in life. Often in traditional schools, some students never participate socially. Although they may be academically bright, their social behavior becomes stunted and their studies may suffer because of it. They may feel left out, alone, alienated. Individual education, however, places a great importance upon the socialization program. It is the only program of an IE school that demands a mandatory attendance by all students. In this program, students develop a responsible confidence in their interaction with others.
We permit every child to select a faculty member to be his or her teacher advisor. And that means every child can, in effect, select his or her own school parent. This school parent becomes a central person for that child as far as the child's education is concerned.
It is essential that the interaction between the teacher advisor and the child be warm and open, since this relationship sets the tone for other relationships which will emerge. The students select their homeroom because of their rapport with the teacher advisor, not because of their age or academic standing. As a result, each homeroom will contain a variety of age groups. The first period is spent in the homeroom with the students and the teacher advisor. This is a relaxed period with no formal curriculum, and the intent is to socialize, interact, and have fun.
Don't help her now. I need some help here. Got you, Rachel.
I didn't see that.
Essentially, the students and the teacher advisor establish their own rules. About the only thing that individual education wants for every homeroom is a democratic weekly meeting. The meetings give the students an opportunity to plan class activities or voice concerns. The students learn communication skills and democratic problem solving.
Anybody who has anything to discuss, please raise their hands. Akifa?
I want to go to the zoo.
Okay, maybe you can have a vote on that. Who would like to go to the zoo? Please raise their hands. Who would not like to go to the zoo? I think we're going to go to the zoo.
Students must be present in the homeroom for the meeting. However, they do have a choice as to whether or not they participate. Today, this student has chosen not to, and that's all right with everyone else. In addition to this regular meeting, the teacher advisor interacts with each student at another meeting time. Every student participates in a small discussion group which meets on a weekly basis with the teacher advisor. The students organize these groups themselves and decide which group they will join. The content of these meetings is up to the group members. In these weekly small groups, content of discussion is not as important as just having the opportunity to interact and participate with each other. Students learn how to deal with each other and how to solve relationship problems. They learn to trust each other and adults and discover that school is a place where they can feel comfortable about themselves.
It means to become involved in your group.
These weekly discussion groups provide the students an opportunity to
To deal with problems that you might be having with your our friends or family or in the school.
The teacher advisor and the student also meet with each other at a monthly conference to go over the student's academic progress and to guide them in solving any problems they may have.
But you know, Jessica, I was looking at your arithmetic one, and I see here that you have been missing your arithmetic, that you haven't been going very often. Is there a problem with the arithmetic?
Yes, the teacher is awfully mean, so I don't feel like going to class.
You find it a problem getting along with the teacher in the
Yes.
class?
Through a series of non-threatening questions and by presenting possible solutions, notice that the teacher advisor is able to lead Jessica into solving her own problem responsibly.
Think maybe you could try to go to class? Is there
No.
too big a problem?
There's too big a problem.
In an individual education school, students have a choice as to where they would like to study. This teacher advisor suggests to Jessica some alternative locations.
Do you think you could try working in another classroom?
Maybe.
Do you think maybe you could do some work in the library in arithmetic?
Sure.
When given the responsibility, Jessica decides where she will complete her studies.
Okay, well, from the suggestions that I've made, what do you think you'd like to do to help you get ahead with arithmetic?
I'll go to the library.
Okay.
It is the student's choice to work independently in the library. In an IE school, children learn to be responsible for their own education. There are 5 ways in which students can master the academic units. The first and most common way is in the classroom, and it works very simply. The unit of instruction is posted on a bulletin board within the school. Any student who wants to learn about that particular subject will show up at the specified date and time. The second way is the library. All of the curriculum is encapsulated in core curriculum booklets within the library. The curriculum is divided into units. This allows the students to study independently and at their own rate if they so choose. A unit is learned, a unit test is taken, and if mastery of the unit is shown through the test, the student then moves on to the next unit. Peer study is the third way to master a class. It involves students helping each other. In an IE school, students are encouraged to cooperate, not compete.
2. 0 becomes a 10, and you still can't take 7 from 1. So this becomes a 9, and this becomes a 11.
The fourth way of learning a subject is one-on-one tutoring with a teacher or member of the faculty, if the student chooses to do that. Within individual education, all of the teachers set aside at least one period every afternoon to be available for one-on-one work with each student.
See, my atlas, let's see if we can find the United States. And we'll locate some of those states that you were having problems with.
The fifth way the student may choose is to work at home and study any subject that he wants to with his family and friends.
Good. Kimona.
K-O.
Kimona.
The student will choose which learning environment will suit him best, usually after consultation with his teacher advisor. Students will often choose a mix of study options. Part of the socialization program is the discipline program. This program is based upon set procedures, not arbitrary whims, and it works. Since the rules are enforced without exception, students learn that certain consequences always follow particular actions. Break the rules, pay the consequences. The discipline system at an individual education school ensures that both faculty and students are treated with respect. Everyone knows in advance what the rules are and what happens if these rules are not followed. At the beginning of each year, the discipline system and the consequences of receiving checks are explained to the students. The individual education system has only 3 basic rules.
at Queen Mary, we have 3 school rules. The first rule is that you must do nothing that is dangerous or damaging to yourself, to others, or to property.
Rule number 2, children must place themselves under supervision or be en route to a place of supervision. Places of supervision include the library, the media center, any classroom, or the principal's office.
And rule number 3 says that if you are pointed out of the classroom for disruptive behavior, that you will leave immediately and silently. And the way we do that is by using the point out.
Watch this teacher use the point out with a student who is disturbing the class.
What we're going to be doing is writing our own legend during this time. Brad?
The student must leave the room and count to 5 before returning. After the second point out, this student continues to disrupt the class. The raised palm means that the student may not return to class for the rest of the period. He must go to a supervised area, such as the library or study hall. Failure to do so constitutes breaking a rule and is immediately recorded in the student's records.
All right, when you break a rule or violate one of the school rules, you get a referral. And you take that referral, it's a written form, and you take that referral to the office the first time you break a rule. Same thing at the second time. What happens there is that the principal will ask you if you really did break that rule. And if you agreed that you did, he then records it on your discipline record form. After the third violation, a conference is held with your teacher advisor, your homeroom teacher, and you. And you then try to do some problem solving to see if you can keep from breaking the rules. Well, we've talked during homeroom time, and we even set up a special time to talk about the fact that Brad seemed to be breaking the rules very quickly. And we tried to look at ways that he could keep from breaking the rules. At the fourth violation, you go to the office again, and the same with the fifth. By the time you break the sixth one, the consequences are that you do have a meeting with the principal, your homeroom teacher, and your parents.
You're here because Brad has broken our rule 6 times now. Did you know?
No, I thought he was just doing fine in school. I had no idea at all of it.
Yeah. Well, let me go over what has happened so you clearly understand.
7th time, it's the office again. 8th time, the office. Now, every time that you break a rule, it is recorded on your record sheet, and then it goes back to the classroom. And the teacher also records it into your homeroom folder. And then when you're having your advising time with your teacher, you can discuss other ways of problem solving and working out ways of not breaking them. If you break the rule 9, 10, and 11 times, you're suspended.
When he gets to the 9th check, I will be phoning you at home on this phone number that I have and asking you to pick him up so he can be taken home silently. You're not to berate him or be angry with him. And that he is to go home when you come here. Be very silent. Give him the silent treatment, in other words. And that he is to go to his room and to think about whether he wants to stay in the school. And the way he can break that, by the way, to indicate that he doesn't want to stay in the school is by turning on a TV set or saying, I'm not staying in my room, I'm leaving, and so on. And that will give us a sign that he really does not want to be here.
When you break the rule the 12th time, the discipline committee meets because they might feel that you might not feel comfortable at our school, that perhaps you might do better at another school.
The individual education system of discipline works because there are established procedures allowing teachers to deal with problems with a minimum of stress. Both faculty and students can see that it is a fair system.
Suppose I sent to the office and I didn't do anything.
If you feel that you got a referral that wasn't a fair one, you can discuss that with the principal, and you can do some problem solving at that point.
Most parents are very supportive of the IE discipline structure. Parents Frank and Diane Busick talk about the changes in their child since their school adopted individual education. Queen Mary School consultant Naomi Serrano agrees.
If you walk down the halls now, the kids are smiling and friendly. There's none of the fear and the watching to make sure that you're not going to be breaking a rule or anything, because there are none of those rules. The rules here we've covered are very simple and basic.
We've seen quite a few changes. When we first came here, we spent a lot of our time and energy as a staff dealing with discipline kinds of problems, and also self-concept kinds of problems, where, as Frank said, the child wasn't respecting themselves and therefore not respecting each other. Now that has changed a lot, and the children are just being in the hallways, being with the children. You can see and feel that difference in the children. There's a mutual respect that happens between them.
Some parents may at first feel there is not enough discipline, not enough rules in an IE school, but they soon change their minds.
In fact, as you know, my son came here, and I'm a very structured, from my old background, of him maybe having too many choices, of being responsible for his own behavior, for his own education. That's somewhat difficult, I think, for many parents. But as they see their children grow, and as I saw my son grow, that you become to respect their decisions.
I think one of the things that I've seen that I didn't expect is that parents take it unto themselves. The program itself changes your life and the way you approach things. And once that's internalized, that's kind of a byproduct. We always deal with kids, but for the first time, we've really developed some skills in parents.
The creative program is designed to allow each student to both cultivate their own artistic potential and further develop their individual interests in any subject they desire. In many traditional school systems, selection of alternative classes is extremely limited, and students must choose classes that may not even interest them. The kind of creative courses offered in an individual education school will depend on what the faculty and parents would like to teach, what the students want to learn, and, of course, what the principal approves. This teacher feels the creative program is a real benefit for her students.
One of the classes being taught right now is life stories, and the younger student dictates the story to the older student. They write it down, then they find a picture to illustrate it. And the older kids really enjoy helping other people. And the little ones, there's a lot of respect going on between the two. And
computer courses are usually very popular classes in the creative program.
Ooh, golly. Oh, your price was better. What would you? Let's try for 5 cents this time. Now watch this.
In addition to computers, over 500 creative courses have been taught in individual education schools, including creative movement, archery, playwriting, magic tricks, soccer, chemistry, advanced mathematics, and music. At this faculty meeting, teachers discuss some new creative possibilities.
I'd like to do something with cooking. Somehow.
Okay, so your broad category is cooking.
Mm-hmm. Another direction might be with ingredients in science, somehow related to science.
Chemicals,
yeah.
ingredients.
Mixing.
Food sources, like animals, plants, what other things?
The students also have the opportunity to suggest which creative courses they want to be offered. In every homeroom, the teacher advisor finds out what the students want to learn.
A news reporter.
Christina?
Movie making. Baseball.
It looks to me like we have many different kinds of courses up here, and it sounds like you have a lot of variety in different kinds of things that you would like to have us do. Let's try to categorize these ideas. What do I mean by categorize? Okay, it's sort of like think of a certain subject and then list all of the courses that are in that subject range under it. Rather than relisting, what I'll do is I'll just put numbers next to each thing. Let's say for number 1 we have sports. So, let's pick out the sports-related courses, okay? Where are we here? Just PE would be, I'd say, sure.
Soccer, gymnastics.
When the new courses are chosen and approved by the principal, students sign up for their favorites. There's an obvious enthusiasm for getting involved in some of these classes.
On Futures Shop.
Tony wants Athletic Incorporated.
The reports are expected of you. You're going to do them? Okay. Because if the reports are not complete...
Really big.
But we got to talk about that. Hold it, Daniel.
Shock is Vanessa, I don't know, is Spanish still open?
Yeah, it should be, I think. I don't know. I don't got nothing good from Friday. I wanted cooking.
In an individual education school, students spend about 1/3 of their time in creative classes. Each class usually lasts for 6 weeks, and then the student can choose again. The creative courses have a unique role to play in the individual education program. Students discover that learning can be fun. They find practical applications for academic skills such as math and science. They acquire useful skills, obtain ideas for future careers, and draw upon their own resourcefulness. There are benefits for the teacher, too. They have opportunity to share their interests and personal areas of expertise in a relaxed atmosphere in which teaching is surely guaranteed to be fun. In some circumstances, students might find that learning a language was a dreary process. As part of the creative program, languages are taught in a manner which the students find fun. Games are used in this Spanish class. In this drama class, students learn about body language and communication. The interpersonal skills they acquire here will enhance their communication skills throughout their lives, whether or not they become actors and actresses.
Get up, walk in, and you see your new bike.
A new bike!
Okay, all right, so you had the voice and you had the... Okay, that's an excitement. Lisa, shoot the ball. Shoot it and you make it. Go ahead. Go ahead, shoot it. All right, and it goes in. Okay. All right, that's pretty good. So you can see, with excitement, there's body language that goes along with it. Facial expressions, right? You looked at each one of their faces. Excitement was written all over their face. You listen to the sounds they make. 2 of them made the same sound when you're excited. How many of you have ever made a sound like that? Just a gasp when you're excited.
Courses may be taught by teachers, by parents, by adults in the community, and even by students. Courses may be offered once only for a limited time period, or they may run continuously. If a teacher can't be found to teach a course which the principal has approved, someone outside the school will be brought in.
We have a parent who works as a nurse, and she's been coming in and helping one of the teachers teach like body parts. And if you had someone to help you be a resource, that's
you
a route
can
to
go out
to.
and get people from the outside to help you.
Today we're going to learn about a kidney, and this is Jake's kidney.
Biology may be provided in a highly imaginative manner as part of the creative curriculum, as well as forming part of the academic curriculum. In this creative course, there's lots of emphasis on hands-on experience.
All right, now I have some things to tell you. That's much different. All right, are you ready? You're going to have to get down. There we go.
I want to hold it. I want to hold it.
Then you can get off the seat and you
I
can
want to touch it, though.
You want to touch it?
Hold it.
Doesn't it feel different? Feel the fat.
Although the creative program is fun, it's not taken lightly. At the private monthly conference between each child and his or her teacher advisor, all aspects of the school program, including creative courses, are discussed.
Jessica, I noticed here that it says that on your conference record that you really like drawing pictures and making booklets and making up your own books. Are there other things that you like to do?
I like animals a lot.
I noticed in homeroom you like to make up puppet shows with some of the children.
Yeah.
Yes. What's your favorite creative course?
Snack Pack.
Oh, that's a good one, isn't it? Is that the one where you learn all about nutrition and nutritious foods and snacks to make?
With such a variety of classes offered, students really get a sense of the many possibilities available to them in their future. The creative courses often give students a basis for choosing future careers.
What's this? Chip. Now watch, we'll make 5 times 100, we'll make $5 off this. 42 clip. What?
Many parents have praised the fact that the creative courses help their children acquire useful information about the world of work and an optimistic attitude towards it.
Well, anyway, I want to ask you this. I've been wanting to ask you, what would you want to be when you grow up? Well, to tell you the truth, I would like to study law and everything, some stuff like that.
The goal of the creative courses is to make students feel good about learning and feel good about themselves as learners. Every student should be able to find an area where he or she can experience success. Creative courses boost self-concept when individual values of the students are recognized through them.
The creative courses emerge as very successful and very competent, and they aren't that way in a more traditional academic program. And so here's a youngster who now starts to blossom, and the kids now see him differently, his peers see him differently, teachers see him differently. And once we view that youngster in a very different way, then he has a lot more opportunities to come into his own.
I think, too, that there's an application of what they learn, the concentrated morning program by the creative courses, and there is an application, and they see the relevance and the need for what they're learning in the morning.
Doesn't mean that it has to be turned into camouflaged academic courses. That's not what I'm asking at all. Just that children can see the relationship, to the real world.
The academic program is structured so that students' desire to learn is fostered at each and every level of their academic understanding. Often in traditional education systems, students lose interest in learning for one or more of several reasons. The grade system has placed them in classes too difficult for them. The grade system has placed them in classes too easy for them. The school system has mandated that they take classes they may have no interest or aptitude in. In contrast to the traditional school system, students in an IE school progress to more complex levels of learning at their own rate. Students are able to individualize their own education. Some students advance more rapidly in some subjects than others. They assimilate different subject material at different rates.
Dr. Corosini, why did you develop this particular system of academic instruction?
Simple logic. Some children are at one level in language arts and at another level in mathematics and at a third level in science or social science. Why should they study these topics at the same level? Also, two children of the same age may be at different levels. Why should a child who could read at the high school level be made to read at the 4th grade level? Why ask a 6-year-old child who can read to study the alphabet? Also, why force children to study only in classrooms? Some can learn best in a library on their own or by means of peer teaching in a study hall.
During the first week of school, all students take standard scholastic achievement tests to see how much they know of the academic basics. This information will be used later to advise them on the appropriate academic program.
The child is tested at the beginning of the year, and let's say to find out how much the child knows in each of the subjects, language arts, mathematics, science, and social science. Then a teacher advisor recommends to the child at what level the child should study, And then the child decides whether or not to follow the teacher advisor's advice.
You took the test last week when you came into our school, and you just stayed right on target all the way across in your language arts, mathematics, science, and social science. You were right on your level. So I would suggest for you that you start with Unit 76 in every one of the subjects: language arts, math, science, and social science.
Every child has an individual pattern. Now, some kids are flat, you know, 4th grade, 4th grade, 4th grade, but one guy may be 7th grade in reading, 2nd grade in math, and so on. So we advise the child to be at what we call the growing edge.
In IE schools, students will not be forced to sit through classes in a subject they already know well, nor will they be expected to work at a level that is beyond their capabilities.
In language arts, you scored above the 8th grade level in your reading, in your vocabulary, and in your grammar. So you really don't need to go to language arts class.
But could I? Would it be better for me?
Well, if you'd like to, you can. But you also have the option of going to the library and doing some independent work. So you can decide that. If you want to go to class, you may, or you can go to the library. And then in mathematics,
there are no grades in an individual education school, but there are 3 kinds of tests. First, there are the standardized achievement tests, which are given at the beginning of the year and show where the student should begin his program. Second, there are the end of the unit tests given each week, which show whether the child has achieved mastery in a unit. And third, there are teacher-made tests, which provide the teacher advisor with feedback information on how the students are coping with particular aspects of classroom instruction.
Some kids, let's say they're 6th graders, you know, in age. They're 12 years old, but they're reading at 2nd year. So we say go wherever you want. So the child may go at the 6th grade level, but then he has these weekly tests. Let's say he's way out of his range and keeps failing them. Then we have the teacher advisor interviewing him monthly and saying, hey, you took the test, you failed. And now the child has a real decision to make. Shall I go down with the younger kids, see where I belong, or should I stay here where I'm failing all the time? And this becomes a kind of a real existential type of decision that they have to make.
remember the first week in school you took those standardized tests? Well, we've gotten all the results now, and I'd like to make some suggestions to you. We have units of study here, and in language arts, I think you ought to start at Unit 46. And in your mathematics, I'd suggest you go down to Unit 26 to start. And in science and social studies, you could work at Unit 46. I think that's a good place for you to start for those three areas. You know, you might want to take this home and share it with your mother and father.
Chris's parents were confused and disappointed with Chris's scholastic performance. They decided to meet with Chris's teacher advisor to discuss his academic placement. Even though the teacher advisor recommended that Chris would benefit more at his academic level rather than his age level, Chris's parents thought it best to keep their son in classes with more of his peers. Chris agreed. That was all right with the teacher advisor, and she stated that his academic performance would continue to be monitored with the curriculum tests. The monthly conference between a student and his teacher advisor is an important component of the IE academic program. Chris meets with his teacher advisor after his first month at school.
We had suggested you start science at Unit 46, and you did. You took 4 tests, and you passed each one of them. And in social science, you also started at Unit 46, took 4 tests, and you passed each one of those. Now, over in language arts, I think we suggested you start at Unit 46, but you went up to Unit 76.
Because my cousin was there.
Mm-hmm. Well, you took 4 tests in language arts, and these dots indicate that you didn't pass any one of them. Now, over in mathematics, it seems to be the same thing. We had suggested you start at Unit 26, and you started mathematics at Unit 76 also, took 4 tests and failed those also.
Chris realized that he was not benefiting from the classes that were beyond his level of comprehension. he decided to start some of his courses at a more appropriate level and attend tutoring sessions to progress more rapidly.
Very little feeling of distress, children being at lower levels, because they'll be at all ages.
The weekly unit testing provides students with immediate feedback on how they are doing. The results go on to the progress chart and are discussed at the monthly meeting between the teacher advisor and the student. When Chris began his studies, which allowed him to acquire basic skills and information which he was missing, he found he was able to move ahead rapidly. Chris meets for the third time with his teacher advisor.
Let's see, in your language arts, you went to the level we had talked about, and look at this, all these tests that you have passed.
Ooh, I like it.
Yeah, good. Mathematics, you kind of jumped around here. You didn't start where we had suggested, right, at level 30, but you went to level 50 and took 5 tests and didn't pass them. So then you went back to where we had suggested you begin, and look at that.
Ooh, I'm doing pretty good, I guess.
You're understanding it better?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yes, you're progressing all along. You've taken all these tests and passed them up through Unit 45. Very good.
They learn more because during the learning process, they want to be there. We have many children in the regular program. If you're a teacher, you know that you've got a class of 30 kids, or maybe 10, who are sitting there smiling and they're not listening to anything that's going on and they're not really learning. And they've learned to adjust in the classroom. The learning that takes place here is because the children want to, not because they have to.
Although pure academics take up only 1/3 of the individual education curriculum, students have not suffered. In fact, just the reverse is true. The academic curriculum is modeled after scientific learning research, that the maximum learning and retention time is about 2 hours a day. The 2-hour academic program actually allows students to learn more, but in less time.
Education school. Children here have done better than they have in the other schools. When Forest Park was a traditional school, and it didn't do very well academically in regards to nationally normed tests. And now Forest Park School is one of the few schools at the top in our district. So that they do well. And they do it, you say, in half the time. But when you look at a total schedule of a regular, traditional kind of school, when you take out the time for art, the PE, the music, and everything else, in essence, they're teaching academics a half a day. We're just saying we're teaching academics a half a day, and we're doing that in the morning, where we think that where children learn best.
What you have just seen is a remarkable system of education that both responds to the needs of today and fulfills the demands of tomorrow. Frequently, as parents and adults, we lose sight of the unlimited opportunities that lie before us. And like many of today's young people, we have not been adequately prepared for the future. Of course, as parents, we want the best for our children in order to maximize their potential, and the IE School ensures a positive step in that direction. The promotion and integration of social, academic, and creative skills work in harmony as a viable alternative to traditional schooling. The responsibility lies with us. Prepare your children for the future. Their success and happiness depends on it.